Hi, my name is Sachin Ranchod. I work on the developer relations team at Slack. In my role as an enterprise advocate, I spend a lot of time working with customers like you to help them adopt Slack's platform and the tools that people have built on top of it. In today's session, we're going to be talking about how you can use Slack's platform to keep people focused and work flowing by integrating your business tools directly into Slack. So just to quickly go over the agenda, we're going to start off by talking about what our platform is and why we believe it's so important. We'll talk about what happens to the way you work when the tools you have and the people that use them are all inside of Slack. And then I'll bring on our three amazing panelists to chat about their lessons learned in adopting Slack's platform. And finally, I will talk a little bit about how you can get started if you're brand new to Slack's platform or drive existing usage if you're already using our platform in some way. So to understand why we built Slack's platform, we need to take a step back and really understand why we built Slack. We fundamentally believe that communication is at the heart of what we do as people. No matter what role you're in, no matter how senior or junior, your ability to build businesses, grow ideas, and overcome obstacles is fundamentally dependent on your ability to clearly communicate with the people around you. We know that by improving the way people communicate, we can make their working lives simpler, more pleasant, and more productive. And that's just communication between people. Imagine what happens when you start having the data and insights from your business applications available inside of the conversation. So take, for example, a sales team planning their next quarter, right? That isn't just a conversation between a handful of people. That is a conversation between a handful of people, plus the previous quarter's sales data, your forecasts, your prediction models, and your annual goals. Having that information right at your fingertips means that you can make a better decision quicker. As modern organizations, we understand that we need software to improve the way that we work. We have software to help with every aspect of our working lives, even the bits that we didn't realize that we needed software to help with. I'm sure everyone in this room has software to help figure out where their colleagues sit, figure out how to deploy software for planning and forecasting. They have software to help them manage all the software they have in their organization. You've got tools to submit your timesheets, to approve expenses, to request PTO. Every part of your working life, there's probably some software that helps you with it. But all these applications come at a price. We're now expected to use tens or hundreds of different tools to be able to get our job done. Many of us are facing tool overload and are struggling with the mental overhead that comes with it. For every business application that we use today, we need to remember where it lives, how to access it, how to use it, when to use it, and how to take the information we get from it and share it with the people around us. We all know that we can't just cut down the number of tools our businesses rely on. Each one was chosen for a specific reason, and it adds value to some part of the organization. So instead of trying to cut down the number of tools that we have, we should instead focus on reducing the number of interfaces people have to learn, the places they have to log in, and we should try our hardest to automate the flow of information between tools so that people don't have to copy and paste and jump between things. Right now, we should be trying to focus on giving people one tool that they can spend their time in while still being able to take advantage of all the different tools that their business relies on. And that's where our platform comes in. Our platform helps you bring it all together. Through a set of simple, open APIs, you can integrate your business systems directly into Slack. These APIs let you funnel notifications into the right place. They let you listen and respond to keywords and commands. And they let you kick off complex workflows with the click of a button. As tools and people converge on a single platform, there's increased visibility and accountability about how work actually happens in your organization. So let's take this as an example. We have a company who's integrated their support tool, their help desk, their CRM, and their knowledge base into Slack. Now, when a support ticket comes in, it gets routed to the correct channel where the right people see it immediately. A support agent can click the claim button, and everyone else on the team knows that they're going to be the one working on it. And for that person who's working on the support ticket, they've got the context coming in for the CRM about who the customer is. Is it a priority? Do we need to loop in the account manager? And they also got some information coming in from their internal knowledge base. So they don't have to spend time going to try and find the right solution. It's potentially presented right to them where they can take that and share it with the customer. So this is an example of a fairly complex workflow, but you can immediately see that it saves a lot of time for the end user, the support agents. There's a lot of visibility in how work happens. The same thing is possible with those high-frequency, low-effort tasks that consume our days. Things like sharing progress reports, or, I don't know, like filling in your timesheet, or even just requesting PTO or approving an expense. All the things that keep us busy. Right? Inside of Slack, you don't have to switch tools to do those tasks, and they'll be completed in a single click. At the end of the day, busy work doesn't need to keep you busy. The business tools you've chosen are an important investment, and Slack is a way to help you get the most out of that investment by making it simple and intuitive to use the right tool at the right time. So now that we've covered why we built the platform and why we think it's important, let's chat about the two ways that you can get started using our platform. So the first is to install and configure a pre-built app from our app directory, and the second is to build a custom app for yourself, what we call an internal integration. If you choose to install a pre-built app from our app directory, you can choose from over 1,000 that are already there and published, and we've seen massive adoption of these apps. Over 90% of teams actively use an app, and there are over 200 apps in the directory with thousands of users. This growth of the ecosystem has been fueled by an incredible developer community, which is now over 155,000 people strong in just a year since we launched the platform. And the apps in the app directory range from popular software products that have existed long before Slack to ones that are built specifically for Slack, like Polly for polling and Donut for onboarding, and many, many more. The tools in the directory span verticals, as you can see, and cover everything from enterprise to consumer software. I'm sure you recognize a few of the tools in the slides today from what you use at your company, and this is just a small sample of what's available. We also have strategic partnerships in place with Salesforce, SAP, Google, and if you were at the keynote, recently announced ServiceNow. For each of these partners, we have long-term integration roadmaps, which we're both building towards. You'll find out-of-the-box integrations for some of their products, and for all of them, there's going to be continued enhancements coming in the future. But we understand that pre-built apps don't work for every case. So that's why we have this concept of internal integrations, apps that you build yourself. Now, internal integrations are a great way to breathe new life into the internal tools you have at your company by giving them a modern, consistent, and cross-platform interface inside of Slack. Internal integrations are also a great way to tie multiple systems together to support more complex workflows, similar to what we saw with the help desk earlier. To give you a sense of how our customers are using internal integrations, I'm going to run through a few examples that are based on real customer use cases. So first off, we're going to talk about an engineering team that's using Slack for cross-team collaboration and chat ops. So in this particular example, we have Mary, who's an engineer, and Parker, the PM for a project, and they're going to be helped out by a bot called DevBot. In this example, Mary is working on a ticket from the backlog, and as often happens, has reached a point where she's starting to make some assumptions because there's not enough detail. So she drops into the feature channel in Slack, mentions Parker and says, hey, I'm working on this particular ticket. Here are the questions I have. And to give everyone in the channel some context, DevBot immediately picks up that a ticket ID was mentioned and will go and fetch the name and description of that ticket and paste it into the channel for everyone to see. That's incredibly helpful for someone like Parker who's jumping between multiple projects all day long. They can get focused and know what this question's about. After some back and forth, they make a decision, and Mary can deploy the code to a dev environment. This is an example of a low-effort, high-frequency task that she would do multiple times a day, and now it's as simple as a slash command. Slash deploy, what you're deploying, and where to. DevBot picks that up, and before initiating the process, sends in an interactive message to Slack to confirm that that's what you want to do. Mary clicks deploy, and everyone in the channel can follow along as the deploy makes its way out. Once it's there, her and Parker can keep collaborating and working on improvements to that particular feature. So with a few simple integrations, they're able to keep work flowing, keep everyone in the zone. Furthermore, product decisions and discussions are part of the Slack archive and can be searched. And for everyone that's new to the company, just like you, they've learned how this particular team deploys software. So moving on to reporting. A big part of keeping a team or company motivated and working towards a common goal is the clear flow of information between different groups. Through automated reporting in Slack, you can align a large group of people around a common set of goals. So in this example, we have a bot that pops into the general channel every Monday morning and posts a roundup of the key metrics. It's a simple, frictionless way of keeping everyone in the loop. And through some simple formatting, we can immediately see or highlight any problems, which in turn is a great catalyst for conversation. And that's exactly what happens here. Dory notices that the daily active user goal isn't tracking in the direction that they would like, so she loops in Kai from the analytics team, where they can have a discussion. Kai goes off, takes a look at some reports, some dashboards, figures out that this is probably just a drop for something like people taking a holiday, and probably not something that we need to be concerned about. Kai can simply share a link to that report that he used to figure that out, and NumbersBot will provide a preview inside of Slack so that people don't have to actually click on the link to understand what it's about and what it's showing. Everyone can follow along with the pertinent information and stay in the zone. Finally, let's talk about an experience I think all of us are familiar with, trying to submit an IT help desk ticket. So this is a fairly common situation. The black magic that powers printers in an office fails. It usually fails at the time when you need it to work the most, and that can be a really crappy experience. So what you have to go do is, log into the IT help desk, fill in, wait for it to load, fill in some form with a lot more fields than are necessary, and wait for that to submit, and then hopefully someone gets back to you. So let's see what happens if we move this into Slack through a slash command. Directly from any channel, from any device, I can do /helpdesk, put in a description of the ticket. Thanks to dialogues, which are a new feature that's coming out on the platform very soon, we can pop up a form directly in Slack if we need some additional information. And this is purely optional, right? We have a /helpdesk command that we use at Slack that is just the description of the ticket, and we don't gather any additional information. But you could, use a form and get what you need. This is a much better experience for the end user. They don't have to leave the tools that they're using all day long. No matter where they are, they can access the help desk. And it's also linked to their user account. So they don't have to tell the help desk who they are, what department they're part of. All of that can be pulled in from Slack directly. For the IT team, they're dealing with significantly less frustrated users, which is always a benefit. And it's also a tool-agnostic solution. So if at some point they need to replace their help desk or make significant changes to it, they can do that without disrupting the end users. In this particular example, once the ticket's submitted, we suggest some helpful articles which might help the end user solve their own problem. This is just one way you can start extending and experimenting with your internal tools by using Slack. The simplicity of building Slack apps makes this possible. You can quickly make impactful changes, deploy them to all your users, and not have to worry about making it work cross-functionally or doing training for your users because it's just an interface that they're used to. So now, I hope these examples have helped illustrate is how Slack's platform can be used to increase visibility and collaboration within your organization, how they can help keep work flowing, and how they can make work more pleasant and productive. So I want to bring on our panelists today to share some stories about how they've adopted Slack's platform and the value they've seen from that. So please join me in welcoming up John Arthorne, who's Production Engineering Lead at Shopify, Shelby Wolpa, who's the Vice President of People Operations at InVision, and Muralidharan, Engineering Operations Lead at Expensify. Load up the questions really quickly. Bear with me. So thank you all very much for joining today and coming to chat about Slack's platform. To kick it off, can we just do a quick round of introductions? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what your company does, and maybe how you use Slack. Start with John.
Sure. I'm John Arthorne. I work at Shopify, which is a company that builds software for commerce, essentially. And I lead a team within the production engineering organization, which builds tools for managing all of our production infrastructure. And one of the pieces of technology that my team owns is a internal integration in Slack that helps automate a lot of the engineering tasks, similar to the one you described.
Shelby.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shelby Wolpa, the Vice President of People Operations at InVision. For those of you that don't know what InVision does, we are a design collaboration platform and a great partner of Slack. What makes InVision unique from a people perspective is that we are over 400 employees at this point, but are completely distributed. So we have employees across over 40 cities in the United States and over 20 countries around the world, and no offices. So using tools like Slack and InVision and other collaboration tools are the way that we work most effectively.
Anu.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anu. I'm the operations lead at Expensify. And for those who don't know what Expensify is, we are a business expense reporting and management application. Besides many other things that an operations lead does at Expensify, one of my jobs is to create the right processes to optimize engineering productivity. So we are a super user of Slack apps, and I look forward to talking more about that.
Cool. So John, let's kick it off with a question for you. So Shopify is responsible for keeping over 500,000 e-commerce stores up and running for your customers. Obviously, that is their business and their livelihood. So reliability and uptime is obviously incredibly important. Can you tell us a little bit about how you use Slack and the internal integration you mentioned to not just keep Shopify up and running, but recover quickly when it's not?
Right. So this is certainly a kind of situation where we found Slack to be very effective. Early on in Shopify's history, there were sort of one or two key people who ran all the incidents, and they were the only ones who really knew what to do in a really critical situation. But as we grew, this was not really sustainable, right, to have these one or two people that are sort of on the critical path whenever anything goes wrong. So what we built is, as part of our internal integration in Slack, we built a tool that helps somebody take on the incident command role and helps guide them through what steps need to be done when an incident happens. And this helps someone new step into the role, and the tool will, it helps make their job easier, but it also helps guide them through, when things are going wrong and it's very chaotic environment, it can be very easy to forget, I need to update the public status page or let support know or whatever. So having a tool to guide them through that and help give them reminders of what they need to do when really helped us go from having only one or two people who did this all the time to a large organization, a large number of people who could step into that role and do it fairly effectively.
It sounds like a really great way of working, especially in like a very stressful situation. Is the team that you work with also very distributed?
It certainly is. Of course, the product is 24/7, 365 days a year, so problems can happen at any time. So most of our engineering team is based in North America, but we do have a global support team, and we have an engineering infrastructure team in Europe as well that is totally, they all work at home distributed. And certainly when an incident is going on, you might need to pull in people from all different parts of the organization who might be even within North America in different offices. So, I used this example yesterday where when we all were in one office, we had this one room that we would go to. This kind of our war room, right? Like you see in the movies where you can sort of all get together and make decisions. But now we're just so distributed that that isn't effective. So Slack lets us create a virtual war room where we can bring everyone together no matter where they're based.
That's awesome. Shelby, so as a very distributed team, how does Slack help you all stay in touch?
Yeah, so you can imagine with 400 people across 20 countries, all working on a number of different projects, collaboration and being able to communicate effectively, make decisions, and just like do your best work is very, very important to us. So Slack is a very integral part of our workday. It's kind of the backbone of the way in which we work at InVision. So not only is it a tool that we use for our day-to-day work, whether it's one-to-one communications, team channels, but it's also a great culture builder for the organization. We have tons of interest groups that we're all a part of. It's where we celebrate wins in a direct or an automated way, and just share great work that's being done across the company.
Cool. I know, talking about culture, I know Expensify has a fairly unique working culture. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So we are a little bit north of 100 employees now. We certainly have some offices, but we have these 100 people distributed across 6 cities, across 4 time zones. A lot of people work remote, and we're very open to people's lifestyle choices and where they need to be for personal life. So we are also somebody that's managed to go from 20 to 100 employees, but retain only 3 rules that really apply, which is you have to get your work done and you shouldn't ruin it for anybody else. Other than that, we don't create any rules for people. So if you decide that today you want to start work at 11 as opposed to at 9, that's your call. You just need to keep everybody informed. And I think a big part of why that's continued to work for us is because we've had a good communication platform, and we've built the tools necessary for people to just be in that one platform and be able to get the sort of collaboration they need done. And it's something that every Expensify employee really values, and we, routinely when we hire, this is one of the reasons why people want to join us, because they've heard about this from their friends or past colleagues. So Slack's really helped us sort of retain that culture, but not lose out in productivity.
Yeah, great. Can you tell us a little bit about your internal integrations that you use to really help scale that culture?
Yeah, so one of the things early on was if you work remote or if you're not coming into an office, everybody time tracked. And that was one way that it's not necessarily something that got reported up to your manager or to the CEO, but it was just something that you were expected to use to be kind of honest with yourself. But this was happening on spreadsheets, so everybody had the best of intentions, but it's kind of a pain to go into a spreadsheet and start putting your hours in every day. And then we also do a whole month of an offshore every year in a foreign location. So everybody travels there, and especially when you're there, you need a little bit more autonomy in terms of what you want to do when you want to work. So one of our engineers actually built this internal tool called Kronos. So Kronos is like any other user or any other teammate on Slack for us, but what Kronos does is it just makes it really easy for you to log on to Slack and say, I'm going to start working now, and then it starts to keep track of you. And then when you go offline, it kind of tracks that you've taken a break, or it just kind of automated time tracking, which helped us get broader adoption of if you are offline, if you're working not in one of the offices, then time track, and people were very open to doing that. Slowly, it started to become something that people just did all the time. So that's helped us a lot in terms of keeping everybody honest. And then we've integrated a few different additional functionality into time tracking, which is if you decide that you're going to take vacation 4 months from now or 4 weeks from now, then you can literally go to the Kronos go to Kronos, which is really a teammate but sort of a channel, and say, I'm going to be out of office between X and Y dates. And then incrementally, we built in functionality that said, person Sam and person Cole can't take time off together because they're a critical function, and one of them at least needs to be there. So that got keyed into the script and the functionality as well. So if Sam asked for time off and it's already overlapped with Cole's time off, then Kronos would just tell them, hey, sorry, these are overlapping dates, you need to rethink this. So all of that was stuff we did before. It was just laborious, but now it just kind of got automated into Slack, like you're talking to somebody and just making your plans. So that's definitely helped us a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Shelby, so it sounds like you take a very deliberate approach to the culture at InVision. Can you share some insights into some of the apps that you use that have really helped build a strong team dynamic?
Sure. One that comes to mind is our use of Bonusly. Bonusly is a peer-to-peer recognition tool that very easily integrates with Slack. So every month, every employee at InVision gets a bucket of money to recognize their peers for small or big wins that are happening in their day. So why this is especially important to us in a distributed company is that there's so much good work being done across, in all these little small pockets of the organization or cross-functionally. And so anytime someone receives recognition, it goes to the Bonusly channel, and other people, have transparency into the great work that's being done. They can also add money to that person if they also want to congratulate them or give them a high five for that contribution, and just creates, like I said, it just really recognizes the good work being done. Every recognition is tied to our company values too, so you're also seeing kind of good embodiments of those values, and it just keeps reinforcing that strong culture.
Cool, thank you. John, so you mentioned earlier that when we were chatting that a lot of your internal integrations have been built at hack days.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about what those hack days look like, how they run, and some of the great things that have come out of them?
Sure. So essentially, 3 times a year, we have these company hack days, and we have basically an app where, like a web page where people can register project ideas, and then anyone in the company can go sign up to join a project. So it's a very sort of organic process where people figure out what they want to work on. And then they go off for 2 days, and at the end, each team presents to the whole company, and there's a bit of a, now that we've gotten bigger, it's too hard to present to everyone, so we kind of have a little bit of a semifinals and a finals, and then there's a hack days champion at the end that gets a belt. And actually, Slack bots have been a popular thing that have been built out of those. In fact, we had one called Unicorn, which is handing out unicorns to people who have done something good. It was our equivalent of your peer recognition. So that was one example, actually. Another one that was built was a really neat one, actually, really valuable. We do AMA sessions a lot in the company, so Ask Me Anything sessions. And people, again, kind of go to a website like Reddit, and they register their questions, and they get up and down voted. And then during the AMA, they're all recorded. And all of the transcripts are saved, and with the time offset of when each question was asked. So someone built an internal integration bot called Hal, where you could ask a question of Hal, and it would go through the history of every AMA that the company's had. And if there's an answer already, it'll link them to the video. So someone new to the company, or they missed that AMA, or it was a while ago, they can quickly get that question answered through the bot. So that's just a couple of examples. But I think we have over 30 different bots that have been built that are in the account right now. So
awesome, thank you. Shelby, so in the similar vein to these internal integrations, there's a lot of different teams besides just the development team using apps at InVision, Slack apps at InVision. So obviously the designers are using the InVision app, which is awesome. But then you have the sales team using Troops for the Salesforce integration and Guru for knowledge base. The support team, I think, is hooked up Zendesk into Slack. How does InVision manage just letting each of these teams pick the tools that they want to use, and how important is it to them that there's a Slack integration?
Yeah, so I mean, I think everything we're doing is trying to across any department across InVision is using tools that make us the most productive and the most efficient in our work. So I definitely think about this when I'm designing tools for the people function that then every employee across the company is using. But like you said, sales, IT, our security team, everyone is selecting tools, and when evaluating them, it's kind of table stakes for a tool to be able to integrate with the other tools that we use like much more frequently in our workflow. So whether that's Slack, whether that's InVision, whether that's email, it just because when I think about it as a people leader, I want our programs, whether it's around feedback, performance management, recognition, onboarding, whatever it is, I want that to be as easy and seamless for employees across the company. So if it's integrating with their daily workflows and the other tools that they're using in their day, that's a big win for me.
Cool. Anu, any other integrations that you have besides the Kronos one?
So we have a few others. We integrate, specifically on the engineering team, we integrate GitHub to specific channels on Slack, which not only for engineers, but even for customer success and specific client coaches to stay on top of what is going into a feature. So are there new fixes? Is there a new enhancement? That gets integrated directly to Slack, so they kind of stay on top of it while they're working. And then a part of the GitHub integration also posts to those Slack channels when we deploy a new fix to staging. This actually helped us a lot because people want to get involved in testing things on staging, but asking them to keep track of what exactly is going on in GitHub and what's getting deployed on a daily basis is a lot of work. So once we started pushing this particular code is deployed to staging and belongs to XYZ feature in those specific Slack channels, we got a lot more non-engineers testing them, which gives us great insight into whether something's working or not, or some design change needs to happen because they're closer to customers. So it's helped us achieve cross-team collaboration, I believe.
Awesome. So I think we're running a little bit over on time. So we were going to do audience Q&A, but I think we're going to just skip that today so you can all get down to lunch in time. So I have one last question, open question. What would you like to see your companies integrate into Slack next? So what is the one integration that you feel like is missing that you want to see inside of Slack soon? Why don't we start with John?
How should I think about that? I think we've integrated almost every tool that we have, certainly on the engineering side. I think there's some more tools that are used more broadly across the company that we haven't integrated very well. I think Workday is one example. We use Workday for HR processes, and I'd love to see more of those kind of workflows in Slack, so that's one example.
Cool.
And there probably is an integration, we just haven't built it yet, or we haven't found the right one to stick in there.
Cool.
Well, I think for us, something I haven't talked about yet was that we also use a lot of video chat in our work. So Slack is wonderful, and you can use emoticons and kind of share your feelings and kind of get that human connection, but sometimes you just have to hop on video and see face-to-face. So we use Slack video, and we use Zoom, but I think that there are ways where we want improvements there, where we want to be able to take notes or have more collaboration. Internally we use our InVision freehand product for this, but I think that there's some improvements directly in Slack that we would love to help us be more efficient in video.
Cool.
And I don't know if this exists yet, but one of the things that would be cool is to have starred messages on Gmail that come into our inbox, hook up to our specific the Me channel on Slack, because sometimes having to go back and check your inbox at regular points in the day, it's almost unnecessary given we do everything on Slack, so that would be kind of cool to just obviate that altogether.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the three of you coming out and joining the panel with us. It was really awesome to hear the stories about how you're using Slack apps. Just to finish off, I wanted to cover just the 3 ways that you can get started with using Slack's platform today. If you aren't already using Slack apps, definitely go check out the app directory, slack.com/apps. Start off by looking at the tools your business already uses, seeing what integrations are available. And there's a ton of really great Slack-specific tools. I mentioned a few of them earlier. But we've got a lot of our partners down one floor below, so go check out the booths and go chat to them. There's some really, really interesting ones out there. If you're interested in internal integrations, you'll see some flyers on your chairs. We've got sample code, what we call API blueprints, that you can use to get started building your own internal integrations. Highly recommend just picking any process, no matter how simple it is, and thinking of how you can bring it into Slack and improve it. For example, how you check in a guest and notify the person they're coming to visit is probably a process that can be improved. It's really simple. How you notify your sales team about closed deals, or notify the rest of the company about a closed deal, so that you can celebrate wins together. All of those things are simple business processes that can be improved. And finally, if you're interested in coming to chat to us more about Slack's platform and the value you can get from it, reach out to your sales rep if you have one to schedule an EBC, an executive briefing at our office. If you don't have a sales rep yet, come chat to me after the session and we can figure out how to get you some time at our office to deep dive into what the Slack's platform can do for you. Thanks again for joining us, and everyone, enjoy lunch. It's going to be served downstairs. Thank you.